Good morning. How do you do? Welcome to the Tuesday morning grind. Hopefully your day is progressing well, whatever stage you are at. I hope that you are affirmed and that you are loved and you know it and feel it. This morning, I want to talk to you about the wilderness. The wilderness is a wild place. It is unkind, it's untamed, it's not nice. The wilderness can feel unsafe, and in fact, often it is unsafe. The wilderness is a place where you learn to survive. You learn survival in the wilderness. It forces survival onto you. The wilderness is a place where you are desperate, and so it is a place where you will form alliances, new alliances, under duress often, under duress, but still, you will form alliances. The wilderness is a place of incredible learning. It's a zone of discomfort, and if you know anything about learning, you will know that learning happens best in discomfort. Most of us do not like discomfort. It's not nice. But in terms of learning, discomfort is pure gold. Pure gold. Discomfort. This morning, I want to talk to you about the wilderness and the discomfort that it presents and the opportunities that it can present that many of us do not recognize. The wilderness is a funny place. It's a place we need, but don't want. When somebody makes these statements to you and you watch it on social media, you roll your eyes and you ask yourself, what wilderness is this strange woman talking about? I have never been to the forest before. I don't intend to be in a desert. I do not intend to put myself in the wild. What is she on about? The wilderness is figurative in this sense. It is representative of the places you don't want to be, that you find yourselves in before you get to the places you want to be. It can be in your career, and you can be in the wilderness in your career for years. You can end up with a position that you expected to be an interim position, but then you are stuck in that interim position because the next level up is just not happening. That stage becomes your wilderness. Your wilderness may even be your marriage, you know. It might be a marriage that you thought was going to grow into a partnership that would bring you certain emotional benefits, and for some reason it just doesn't happen, and your marriage becomes this stark, still place where you don't grow. Parenthood is wilderness in long episodes, especially those of you who have got into the rut of teenage parenthood. By the time your children get to teens, you have been at this parenting thing for more than a decade. You are tired. You are tired. You hear of a stage where the children grow and they become independent. You are not there. You are not there yet. Your children look big. They talk big, but they can't do big. You are in the wilderness of parenting. And in the wilderness of parenting, especially when you are in your 12 to about 18, 19th year, woo! You are tired. You are fed up. You are tired. You are fed up. You are frustrated, and all these things in between. You don't see an end. When you start parenting, you may foolishly think that there is an end date. By the time you get to this stage in your parenting journey, the truth becomes apparent. There is no end date. There is no end date. Even when your children are adults and independent, like mine are, they are not really that independent. They are not. They will start wanting to be adults, but they are not real adults, are they? They don't have the cognitive capacity of full discerning adults yet. They look it, they want it, but they can't do it. That's when you realize that you are parents for life. Now that phase is wilderness. Wilderness. It's wild. Wild. There are no rules. Anything goes in the wilderness. And that makes the wilderness very dangerous. The funny thing is, When you have hyenas and lions chasing you, you learn to run. You forget pain, because it's either death or pain. And at that point, death makes pain seem so attractive. Death will make pain seem attractive. It is your best option, and you will grab it with both hands and you will run a mile with it. The funny thing is, in the wilderness, after a period, you will look behind you and you will be stunned by the sheer distance you have covered out of desperation. Desperation is a great teacher. Desperation is the best motivator. Desperation can move mountains. That is the thing with the wilderness that most people don't seem to recognize. When you spend time in the wilderness, and the Lord knows I have spent time in the wilderness. I have spent time in the wilderness in many aspects of my life, and I am still in the wilderness in significant aspects of my career. So for example, Prince, you relate, good. I have a doctorate degree. There are people with master's degrees teaching in universities. There are people with lesser degrees in positions of authority around me. And in that way, the qualifications that I do have not quite translated into the places that I want. The younger me would be frustrated at this point. The less experienced me would have been reading implications into stuff. The reason why I am calm, cool, and collected, and it worries a lot of people around me. My friend was talking to me yesterday, and she was telling me how she's worried about me and how I'm going to survive another school year. And she's right. She's right. When you think at it from an angle, it will be a difficult school year to survive this one. But you see, my understanding of the wilderness and the situations that pertain to the wilderness and its implications is why I am calm. So somewhere in the conversation, she says, I love how calm you are. Yes, that is experience. That is wisdom. That comes from seeing a lot of things. I am calm because I have spent time in the wilderness, and I do know that the wilderness is a place for you to gather your thoughts. You want to hear your thoughts. You want to reflect. You want to be very clear before you make decisions. Well, the wilderness will give you that. See, for me, when I eventually make a move with the things that I have under my belt, it's going to be a very strategic move. It will not be knee-jerk. It will not be knee-jerk. I realized this maybe a month or two ago when I was sat reflecting on a lot of things, actually within the last month. I have had so many offers on my table, and eventually I have had to think carefully through all these offers, and eventually I have had to make decisions around these offers that stunned me and shocked me. The reason why my own decisions stunned me and shocked me was because I was able to draw on a lot of information, and when I was thinking, a lot of the information, Star Joyce, what to say? Good morning. When I sat and reflected on how I had the information to be able to make the decisions I was making, it was information I gathered from wildernesses, from time spent in the wilderness. You are supposed to have become successful as a business person, and you haven't. You are in the wilderness and it feels uncomfortable. Today, I want to tell you that the time spent in the wilderness will be advantages conferred onto you later. This weekend, I decided to start a new course. It's something that has eluded me for a long time. I knew that I needed to make a new direction, and I wanted to start a new course. I have many courses, those of you who know me, and I needed to focus on which ones I wanted to take forward as my next 12 to 18 month strategic move. And I'm thinking, eventually, after all the I had the eureka moment. Eureka! Yeah, Francis, eureka! I've got it. Okay. When I figured it out finally, and this is a speech that I make, this will be one of my seminal speeches, but I'm giving you a quick preview of it. When the Thread Comes is the name of my seminal speech, and these fragments are all little thoughts from that. You will wait, and you must plant your pegs in your wilderness. You don't know where you are going, so wherever you get to, you leave a marker, so that later if you need to retrace your steps, at least you can find it. Be smart and leave marks, because you see, the funny thing is those markers become pegs, and you can weave patterns through those pegs when the time comes. When the time comes. The time has come for me in my course creation. This morning I was there still working on my course. There are packages that I bought 2 years ago and paid for fully and was not using for anything. And it was sitting there, and it has frustrated me. I have paid good money for these things. Why am I not using them for anything? Hey, ho, ho. That was the wilderness. That was the wilderness. That was the wilderness. Last night, whilst I slept, I have recorded footage. And usually when I build classes, it's my own footage only. But it gets boring. I don't think my audience would like to see one person's face repeatedly. The same face, the same face. No, 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 no. And as I slept, something clicked. Girl, you have a full-on ready-to-go package that you have paid for and don't owe a dime on and can use. Voila. I woke up about 6 a.m. today, went straight to my Mac, sat down and started building. And yes, all I required was download and upload, download and upload, download and upload. It was quick. It was easy because the work had been done in advance. The price had been paid in advance. That is the value of the time spent in the wilderness. You will know things. You will know things because you learned them in the wilderness. You did. Halfway through this morning, I realized that downloading and uploading of that one was great. Then a few things clicked. Hey, 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 hey! You have a full landing page of a 10-class series on mindset that would be really good to integrate into this course. I called my back-end guys. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to do this. They're like, it's not possible. And you see me, the minute I hear it's not possible right now, I go into a different gear. He says it's not possible. You have to talk to the product developers. You have to get I'm like, okay, thank you. And in fact, he says, hold on, I'm going to go and try and get some information for you. I was sharing my screen and I was building. Something came to me and I started trying it. By the time he comes back, he says, wow, what are you doing there? I'm like, yeah, this is me. This is me. I am now able to come up with these solutions like that, boom, 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 because I have spent years crying in this platform. I have spent years building in this platform. I have built many, many, many things that I didn't think I was going to use. And in fact, the most important thing that happened to me as a result of that period in the wilderness was building skills. Right now, my imagination is insane. Tell me anything around course creation using my tool and I will envisage it for you. I was using images and hiding things in behind images, and it's like, wow, I've never seen it done before. I'm like, yeah, you have not met me before. Yes, where did that come from? It came from the wilderness. The resourcefulness that I bring to the table came from the wilderness. I have had some desperate situations which has thrown me between life and death. Survival will force you to learn. Survival will make your brain work. Desperation will push you. The funny thing is, what you learn in desperation can be a skill you learn for keeps. And so this morning, I was a strategic old man. Last night, the last 2 days, my son and I were working on some CSS codes. My son knows that I do not know how to write JavaScript. I don't. He knows that I do not know how to code. I don't. He is a computer science undergrad and he's a coding specialist. So I called my son and I was asking my son to do certain things. You know, he would try, but he's... These trucks are dangerous with the things that can fall off them. Sorry guys. Something fell off a truck. Don't know which part of my car it big hit. Anyway. My son is not a desperate boy. My son is a privileged boy. He lives with his parents. The things that bother me about the fees we've got to pay in September don't bother him the same way. No, his needs are met. He's not as desperate as me. So last night, eventually, we went to bed around just before midnight, and I'll tell you the story up to that. We have been trying to figure things out. I will tell my son, I need a code to do. He will play with it, and it's like it's not possible. I need a code to do. He will play with it. He says it's not possible. Last night he sat with me in ChatGPT. He watched me write a prompt, get some things from ChatGPT, test them, and refine and refine and refine and refine. And at about 11:40 p.m. last night, it finally did what I want. Voila! I had got a working code. My son says to me, how on earth does a woman who does not know how to write one line of code manage to get code written, integrated, to achieve the things that I just watched you do? It's time in the wilderness, my dear. I will get a code that a computer science student, a classic coder, may not be able to get. It is not because of intelligence. It's not because of skills. It's hunger. It's hunger. Hunger brought on by desperation. Desperation, which is brought on by time spent in the wilderness. There is no in my mind when I'm going. So at some point he kisses me and he says, Mom, enough for one day. Let's go to sleep. I don't know how you've managed to keep your brain going for this long and for you to be able to focus. Hunger, desperation, survival brought on by the wilderness. The quitters, they are not hungry. They are not desperate. Those of us who have spent time in wildernesses, one of the biggest wildernesses I have been in is the wilderness of paying for children's school fees. That wilderness, yay! Children's school fees and staring at disaster is what has fueled my business. And people marvel. My daughter was telling me that one of her friends finally figured out that both of her parents are teachers. And her friend says, but how on earth do you guys have the lifestyle you do with two parents for teachers? Time spent in the wilderness have turned these teachers into people who have run businesses. Time spent in the wilderness, looking at school fees, looking at my salary, realizing that my salary was not about to do what we needed to be able to get the kids what I wanted them to get. I was in business. And yes, I will work day and I will work nights. And I will push and I will not stop because of time spent in the wilderness. So those of you who find yourself in wildernesses, I'm still in some wildernesses, as I've told you. Career-wise, I am in a wilderness. I've not decided where I should move. There are some moves that I thought I would want to make, but I realize I cannot make. And it's frustrating, but I also do know that eventually I will see an opportunity which will be ideal, which will be very different from the things that I was traditionally thinking. And when that moves come to me, when the thread comes, it will make sense. It will make sense. I've seen it so often that now that desperation to claw out and to force things is no longer there. I know this because I have been in many wildernesses before. So in your wilderness, write it down somewhere, put it as a fridge magnet and tell yourself, your wilderness is your best teacher. The wilderness is your best cheerleader. Your wilderness will prepare you better than anything else will prepare you for success. You must spend time in the wilderness before you elevate and catapult. You have never heard of any major speaker, motivational speaker or otherwise, anybody who has achieved anything without facing adversity. Adversity is the precursor to success. You want success, but you don't want the adversity. Oh my dear, ignorance will make you suffer when a gift is in your lap. Adversity is the precursor to incredible things. So when you wake up one day and somebody has stolen all the money in your bank account, you tell yourself, okay, we're going to make a lot of money quickly. Because you have to make a lot of money quickly. If you have money in your bank account, you will not be as desperate to make the money the way a person with nothing in their bank account will. My friend woke up one day and her husband had cleaned their bank account and had run with a little girl. They run businesses. He had cleaned their bank account, their business account, personal accounts, whatever, and they had taken a huge amount ready to execute. This bugger cleaned their bank account. They owed tens of thousands of pounds, and this little bugger was gone. Guess who needed to figure out how to pay? Was my friend. First thing she did was a meeting with her rank and file to tell them exactly what had happened and to tell her team they all had to survive. She asked them, do you have wives? Yes, you do. Well, do your wives work? Some of them had wives who don't work. Does your income depend on what business we do? Yes, it does. I am clawing for survival. I want to avoid bankruptcy. I do. But in order for me to avoid bankruptcy, I am going to work like a little demon. And I need the same thing of you. Remember that you are fighting for your survival as much as I'm fighting for survival. If I go down, I go down with all of you. That was a rally call. 3 months. 3 months later, they had turned round. They were profitable, prospective business. What made her want to have that rally call? She had herself been a rally call recipient from her mother. Her dad didn't run. Her dad died. And when her dad died, their mom rallied them. Some of them were in university, some of them were in secondary school at the time. Their mom rallied them. They all scratched and collectively they got. And so with that adversity experience, when her husband decided to be a bellend and did what he did, when everybody was telling her to file for bankruptcy, and filing for bankruptcy would probably have spared her a lot of the drama, but there were people who depended on her, and she realized that she could rally those people. At the moment, her business is huge. 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 How does a woman like that have a huge business? It was a small business. What she and her husband run was a small business. How did their tiny small business become a huge business right now? The bellend took all the money. She owed rent. Herself and her children could have been homeless. She owed people money on contracts. Numbers that would make your head spin when you see. And for those reasons, ingenuity became her thing. She became ingenious. Pure genius will come when you are cornered. Again, how do I know? Me, I have been cornered so many times. Cornered. I have seen people laugh because they think that they are done with me. I've seen people laugh when they think they have buried me and they are done. She's finished. They put me in the hole themselves and they covered it with dirt. See, they forgot or didn't know that I was a seed. I have been buried so many times and resurrected by germinating so many times. There is somebody who is my frenemy at the moment. We are not friends because we are actually not friends. We are frenemies. The reason why we become frenemies is because this person has realized that you don't sink me. You will not sink me. I will not go down. I just refuse to go down. And so after quite a bit of effort trying to sabotage me and making my life difficult, the person finally decided that it was not going to happen. So they came to speak to me about it. And he would tell me, you know, the one thing you have is that refusal to go down. That is a very infuriating gift you have. It infuriates those who want to sink you. When you are dead, buried, sunk. When everybody sees sinking, you will somehow have to learn to accept that you are sunk, but to find ways to move even when you are sunk. Those who know how to do this have dug themselves out of holes before. Those who have not dug themselves out of holes before will give up. There is an experiment with an ant and a pen. What they do is draw a circle around the ant. And initially, the ant had never gone over the pen mark. So he thought that the pen mark was a prison that they could not overcome. And for a significant period of time, they stayed in the thing. Then the person who was responsible for drawing the thing drew the circle smaller and smaller and smaller. And over time, drew the circle so that the ant's foot stepped over the circle accidentally. When the ant stepped over the circle accidentally, something happened in the ant's brain. And they've repeated this experiment with many animals. It's not just the ant. They've done it with spiders, they've done it with all sorts of insects. When their foot crossed over the ink, there was a realization that happened in their head. Oh, the pen mark will not kill me. Oh, the pen mark is not a real prison, it's a virtual one. Oh, it's possible for me to step over it. And so, from that point onwards, regardless of whatever circle was drawn around that insect, whatever insect, they refuse to stay in. They cross over it because they know. Yeah, that's the wilderness for you. The wilderness will teach you the difference between the real boundaries and the not so real ones. I have arrived. I need to go and work. I'll see you guys in a bit. Assalamu alaikum.